Hello, I hope everyone is having a really great start to their spooky season. Today I'm going to recreate a makeup look for Nadja from What We Do in the Shadows. Nadja is my favorite character from this, one of my new absolute favorite shows. So here we go. Firstly, I'm going to put on some Embryolisse moisturizer, and then I'm going to use the E.l.f. Luminous primer to prime the skin. Nadja's skin always looks very luminous. Obviously very pale, but not like too pale or too flat, but undead looking enough with a definite highlight happening. I like to think that it's an homage to the glittery skin of the vampires of Twilight. So I'm going to start with this luminous primer before foundation. And for foundation, I'm going to use a color that is too light for me day to day, so will give me that vampiric skin tone without going too, pale or white. And the foundation I'm going to use is this NYX Total Control Drop Foundation, and I'm going to mix it with some liquid highlighter from Revolution in a light pearl shade. When I combine foundations, I like to mix them with a foundation brush and then use that brush to apply the foundation to my face before then doing the actual blending with my sponge. In this case, I'm using the Beauty Blender Sapphire. I'm lightly applying some loose powder on my eyes to set that foundation. This will act as a base for the eyeshadows I'm going to use. The rest of my face, I think, will be matte enough without powder. So for the eyes, I'm going to be working from a palette of old single eyeshadows that I made. So apologies that I won't be able to tell you the exact names of them. But essentially, we're working with cool tone browns and grays and a black. So as long as you have, a light, medium, and a dark shade, you'll be able to follow along. Now, Nadja has had a few different makeup looks, but consistently since the second and now into the third season of the show, she's been wearing a cool tone glitter on the lid and red lips. So that's what I'm going for today. The first eyeshadow I'm going to take is a very light shimmery taupe, and that's just going to go all over the lids up into the crease, and this will be the base color. I'm then going to put a little bit of a shimmery white eyeshadow along my brow bone. Next, I'm going to slowly define the crease with darker and darker colors, working my way up to black. So right now I'm taking a deeper, cool taupey shade, and that'll be going through the crease on a smaller brush. I'm taking my time here and using a small brush to place the color, and then I'm sure to blend with a fluffier brush in between to make sure there's no harsh edges. So with each shade of eyeshadow, I'll also take it along the first half of my lash line and connecting it to that outer corner of the eye. Now, all of this crease work is not the end of the world. It does not have to be perfect because it's going to be covered up with glitter. But this will just help make my eyes look a little bit more deep set and defined. So What We Do in the Shadows is my favorite show, which is actually based on one of my favorite movies, also called What We Do in the Shadows. I didn't think at first that they could improve upon the characters from the movie, but it's truly amazing what they've achieved with these new characters. But it's absolutely Nadja that puts the show just like over the top for me. Just the added female dynamic, having a woman in the show, I think makes a big difference. Also, the actor Natasha Dimitriou, her voice, the intonation, the delivery of her lines is just so incredibly hilarious. I want to go and just track down and watch anything and everything she's ever been in. I know her brother is also a comedian and actor and has a show called Stath Lets Flats that she's in. You can watch it on the CBC here in Canada. So yeah, I'm excited to check that out. It also doesn't hurt that Natasha is just so freaking beautiful. The opening credits where they show, photos of the past of all the vampires, that one photo gets me every time of Nadja. She's so beautiful. Ugh, I just love it. And, the show and the movie and the concept in general is just so freaking clever. There's so much you can do with characters that are really oblivious about so many things, in the modern world. Plus, it's filmed in Toronto, so excited. I'm just excited to know that Jermaine and Taika are sometimes on Canadian soil. I'll show you the photo that I've been working off, which is a close-up of Nadja, where I can tell a few more details about her eye makeup, especially. So you can see actually that on her lower lash line, she's wearing a reddish metallic color. And I think paired with the cool tone of the top lid, I think it's very impactful. So to achieve this, I'm going to first run a metallic copper eye pencil along the lash line as a base, making sure that the metallic eyeshadow has something to really stick to. So once I've got that pencil down, I'll cover the liner with this gorgeous reddish color from the Juvia's Place Mini Masquerade. The color is called Calabar. I'm using a small angled brush, but any small brush will do to pack that color on. Finally, for eyeshadow, with a very light hand, I'm going to take some black eyeshadow along my lash line and into the crease for a final bit of depth. And when I say very light hand, I'm barely touching the black eyeshadow before tapping off the brush so that I don't get any fallout. And once my lashes are curled, I will move on to my brows. So I'm going to be wearing a black wig, but so as not to go too harsh against my own skin tone, I'm not going to use black through my eyebrows. I'll just be using my coolest toned eyebrow products that will still appear a little bit darker or deeper on my skin tone, but won't look too harsh. If you've got a deeper skin tone, it'll be perfectly fine to use just some black eyeshadow through your brows to match the wig. Use whatever you've got. So I'll be starting to fill in my brows with my Uemura eyebrow pencil. And once they're filled in, I will brush them up with this cute, teeny tiny sample I have of the new Anastasia brow gel. This is the shade Taupe. And just because I could, I then drew in some extra brow hairs with the Ardell Stroke-A-Brow. And I mean, don't worry about your brows too much. Nadja does have bangs that cover her brows mostly, but, I thought I'd go for the full fantasy. Next, I'm going to contour, and I'm using my Fenty matchsticks in Amber, as I want to keep the contour as cool as possible. A bronzer and warm tones are not ideal for the vampire complexion. And this isn't 100% necessary, but I wanted to add a bit more shape into my face. So I will lightly dab some on and then blend out with my beauty blender. To highlight the center of my face and cover my dark circles, I'm going to apply some CoverGirl concealer, and made a huge mistake here by not blending it right away. By the time I got to my eyes, it had almost completely set and did not look great. I hadn't used this in a while, and I suppose I forgot that it does set down quite quickly. Lesson learned, oops. When using a matte self-setting concealer, blend as you go. So I'm purposely not bringing the concealer out too wide under my eyes, just to try and lengthen my face a bit and have most of the brightness under my eyes. To set the cream contour, I'm going to use a little bit of the powder from the Smashbox contour palette and a big fluffy brush. So next I'm going to continue to highlight and go pretty ham here. Nadja is always very luminous, especially on her cheekbones. So I'm going to take the same liquid highlighter that I mixed in my foundation, and will apply that directly on my cheekbones and my nose with my damp sponge. My face was starting to feel tight, so I gave it a little spray of setting spray. I hadn't used this foundation for a while, and it does set down pretty matte. Now to the glitter lids I keep promising, and I'll have to let you down, because for the life of me I could not find silver or gray glitter that looked right and was, easily accessible to me. So the closest I found is this new Rimmel 2-in-1 liner to eyeshadow product. I mean, it's 100% just not as fabulous, but it will do the trick in a pinch. I'm starting at the inner corner of the eye with my silver glitter, filling in the crease, kind of like a cut crease. I'm building up the color to eventually cover the lid completely. As I go, I'm checking to see where that silver color is when I open my eyes. And I mean, this is not necessary, but I brought the color up a bit higher than Nadja would wear, just so that in the end you can kind of catch more glimpses of it on my slightly hooded eyes. And I mean, if you've got that silver glitter, you go for it. You use that. I will be so happy for you. And you would apply it in the same space that, or the same place that I'm putting on this liquid liner. But you'd first want to, of course, put down a glitter glue or a lash glue as a primer so that the glitter has something to stick to. Once I've got the silver color on, I'm taking the brush that I used in my crease to blend out the edges of that silver as it starts to set down so it doesn't look too harsh, and also to connect to the deeper color in the crease. Next is liquid liner. Now, Nadja always has a fierce black winged liner. Nothing too thick and heavy, but she's there. My combo these days for a black wing has been to start with this CoverGirl matte liquid liner from the inner corner of my eyes to the outer corner. And then I will switch to a NYX felt tip liner to do the wing. The CoverGirl one is really nice and black and matte, and it lasts, but I do find it tricky to draw a wing. And the NYX one is really great for little details, but I actually find too thin and watery for my inner corner, and it tends to bleed on my wrinkly lids. Thus, together they balance each other out and make a great team. Okay, so I'll throw on a generous coat of mascara on the top and bottom lashes, and the eyes are done. I will be putting on false lashes later, but otherwise that's it. For my lips, I'm reaching for this brand new in the box MAC lip pencil in the shade Cherry. This is a very classic lip pencil. I had bought this and was going to save it for my Katya tutorial, but I couldn't resist opening it up for this. That being said, any red lip liner will do. I'm not overdrawing or changing the shape of my lips too much. I'm just following my lip shape and planning out the shape, getting ready for lipstick. Nadja always wears a red lip. Sometimes it's a more bright, true red. Sometimes it can lean darker and vampier. I've opted for something kind of in between here with this brownish dark red, which is called Dubonnet. It's from MAC. This is the same lipstick I bought actually for my Moira Rose video. Thank you so much to everyone that has watched that. I got lots of views, which is not surprising because Schitt's Creek really took off about a year ago. And yeah, thank you. Nadja is not unlike Moira Rose in that, she wears a full red lip and full eye look on a daily basis and is otherwise, a total badass. No wonder I'm drawn to them both. Okay, so once I've smeared on my lipstick, I will take a lip brush to kind of blend the edges and marry the color of the liner and lipstick because the liner is quite a bit brighter. And that's it. Now, there are a few finishing touches, of course, including my lashes and a wig. And for a costume, I've put on a black velvet and lace dress and clipped on an old vintage brooch that I had. And for my wig, I have given myself 2 little Scary Spice buns, which is a look that Nadja often wears. I kept on adding hair to the buns to make them bigger and bigger, and even after about 3 rounds, I think I could have even gone further. Now, Nadja's bangs are also blunt, cut right across her eyes and hit around her brows. My wig has longer bangs, and I'm sorry, but I couldn't bring myself to trim this wig. But I think you get the idea. I think if I were to wear this out on Halloween, I would just buy a cheaper black wig with the correct bangs and stack that wig on top of this one. I saw recently that Party City has one called Got You Babe for only about $15. So the final important finishing touch is fangs. I was so excited that I tracked down and invested in some higher end vampire fangs rather than the cheap ones where the top and bottom connect that we all wore as kids. But they just didn't work. I was devastated. The package said to soak the fangs in warm water and not to use water that's too hot. And I kept trying and putting more and more warmer water, but it was just never enough to activate the adhesive. I did end up, after I, took my costume off, putting them in boiling hot water. And of course, that did the trick, activated the adhesive. But once I got them on, I realized they were so big that I couldn't even close my mouth. Oh well, lesson learned. Just use those 99-cent old school fangs. That's my finished Nadja look. Be sure to watch What We Do in the Shadows, the best TV show on air right now. The 3rd season is almost over, so you've still got time to binge all the previous seasons and get caught up. It's just the best. Thank you so much. Hope you have a happy Halloween.